My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, the podcast that shows spiritual entrepreneurs how to clarify their message and then how to turn that clarity into revenue. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a mentor and message expert since 2020. Whether you seek to simply clarify your message or feel ready to monetize your brilliance, this is your safe space for actionable guidance and practical tools on how to turn your woo into predictable revenue. Let's get started, shall we? With me today is Lady V, and today we're going to talk about all the things getting in the trenches of suffering. If you feel like the past is weighing you down, this is your speaker. If you feel like you can't shake off what happened in the past, Lady V is the type of speaker whose story you want to hear. She's been up, she's been down, she's been in the trenches, and she knows how to suffer. She's a spiritual release coach. What does that mean? She has no problem whatsoever getting in those trenches to clean up with you. And so you can hire a coach who's like a spiritual coach, but there's not so many people who can go down in the trenches with you and remove whatever is left in the gutter. And that is Lady V, because she's been there. She's lived there. She's carried the baggage, and she gets it. When you can't get over a divorce, when you can't get over a lost child, when you can't get over an abusive relationship, when you can't get over that rape, she's been there. She's been in the dirty trenches. And so my hope for today is that you will share this with the beautiful woman who can't seem to shake off her past and is stuck with it moving forward. Lady V, welcome to the show. It's my honor to be chatting with you today.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the show today. I am truly, truly grateful. And hey, I am ready to inspire somebody, empower somebody to be able to come up out of those trenches and be their best authentic self. Not just anybody, but their best, because I am your favorite spiritual release coach. See, you have to know these things. And so I want you to be the same way. I want you to roar in your greatness, because I know that you can.
What keeps people stuck in baggage? Like, why is it so hard to shake off a divorce, shake off something that happened, and move on with our lives? Why is it so hard?
I believe that it's hard because we get stuck. We get stuck right where we got left off. And we get angry, and we don't know how to check our emotions. And when we don't know how to check our emotions, then they start checking us, which means they start holding on and gripping us and conveying us to a point where we have no release. We don't know how to breathe. We don't know how to release. We don't know how to actually allow our emotions to flow, be there, and move on. Because we get stuck where we're at, we get angry. And in that anger lies a lot of stuff. So a lot of stuff. And I just want to go there and so that's what my job is, to go down to the deep of the barrel and touch all the sticky stuff that we don't like to touch, that we don't want to admit to, that we don't want to admit that's holding us down. Because sometimes we think that we have released, and we haven't. We haven't. We just going through the motions. And so you have to check your emotions so you can stop going through the motion.
My favorite way of explaining the work Lady D does is, this is how you know the past has you in a corner in a cage. Are you easily triggered? Do you easily get angry? Do you have self-worth issues? Do you feel shame, guilt, frustration, anxiety, depression? Do you feel like your emotion have you in the corner? Do you feel like anything and anyone can trigger you? Those are the signs that for me I use to know that the past is holding me hostage in this moment? Because my body is telling me, no, this is not the highest version of you. This is not the true, authentic person that we know. So when I get these emotions, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, it's my body saying, hey, this is not the person that you're meant to be, and that is why you're frustrated right now. And so this is how you can know that you have some of that baggage. Like, you can't seem to shake off that feeling of unworthiness, not enoughness, or whatever the thing is. You just feel like it's haunting you and you're tired of it. And hopefully today we're going to use Lady V's story and methodology to show you how you can leave the past in the past where it belongs. Lady V, how did you get here? What's the story? What's the trench? Like, take us in the trenches and let us know like how you started all this.
I'm glad to be able to share my story today. And I pray that it actually touches somebody today and it inspires and empowers you to come on up out of your emotions, to get up out of your way and know that even though it happened, you don't have to live there. You don't have to stay there. And that's what happened to me at the age of 8. I was being molested. I ran away. I did so many things to try to stop the monster in my house. So you'll hear me say that a lot, that sometimes it's not about the monster that's outside, it's about the monster that's inside, that you live with, that troubles you, that hurts and harms you. And so I was being told that it was my fault. And I know a lot of women have heard that. Well, it's your fault because if you didn't dress like this, if you didn't talk like this, if you wasn't living like this, then, that wouldn't have happened to you. Well, yeah, it would. Yeah, it would have. And it don't matter how you dressed or how you talked or how you was living. It's going to happen if it's going to happen. And so I had to learn that. And I was fighting the monster that was in my house, which was my parents. And so so I ran away at the age of 15. I became a madam. So I'm just going through life, trying to find my way. I'm not here fiending for myself, not knowing, not doing anything. And so I got into gangs. I got into the street life. By the age of 18, I was just a high price call girl, really, and I still graduated with a 3.56 GPA. So I was still trying to be this person that I wanted to be, even through the storm. And then I was still being stalked by my molester, even at the age of 21.
Wow.
And so this was a long going process that I was fighting and I was battling and I was telling, people not everything, but I was crying for help and nobody was trying to help me. Everybody just kept saying, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Or, oh, he would never do that. Oh, this never happened. And, they were downplaying it. And so because I come from an era that what happens in this house stays in this house. And so now I choose to shatter the silence because I feel like I have been silenced for so long because I wasn't allowed to talk. I wasn't allowed to share my story. I wasn't allowed to tell people that these things were happening to me in my own home. I wasn't allowed to do that. And so I got into relationships that also affected the person that I was. Why? Because I had already experienced this type of trauma. So it was like I was looking for somebody to save me. Not knowing that the only person that can save me is God himself. He's the only person that can save me. But I didn't know that. I wasn't realizing that. And then I lost my grandmother, who was the only person who I felt like loved me in this world. And once I lost her, I went stupid. When I tell y'all I went stupid crazy, it was like I didn't have no care for the world. I went numb. I was lost. I was confused. I didn't understand. I was angry with God. Some of y'all know, and y'all feeling me right now. I can feel your spirit as you're watching. I know that you are feeling me right now because you have felt like that at one time, that you're angry, you're mad, you're frustrated, you're depressed. And that's why I said it's a lot of stuff that comes with those motions. And so I was just trying to get through it. And so, like I said, I went from one bad relationship to the next bad relationship to the next bad relationship to the next, just trying to find love, trying to find somebody to save me. And in reality, they were doing more damage to me than what I needed. And so I just became numb to the world. And so after relationships, I decided that somebody told me that I wasn't wifey material, that I would never be married. I would never get married. And that's a blow, especially for a woman who wants to be married, for a woman who wants to have kids. And to have to know that my chances of having kids was done, that was over. And then because of all the trauma and the things that have been going on with my body, that was done. So I would never be able to experience or have children. Then to know on top of that, that I'm not even qualified to be a good wife. What? I was just devastated. I just could not believe that this is what was happening. And so I'm the type of person that I'm always going to show you my strength. I can't show you my weaknesses because I've always felt like people preyed on my weaknesses. And so I was like, I'm gonna show the world. I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna get married. Somebody gonna want to marry me. Well, yeah, I did, but he married me out of convenience, and I married him out of spite. And let me tell you something: when you do that, it will never ever work. When you're not marrying for the right things, it will never ever, never ever, never ever work. So please stop doing it to yourself, thinking that it's going to save me. It's going to help me, because a lot of times we don't understand that we walk into these abusive relationships. And even though, and I say abusive because I didn't even know that I was being abused. I had no idea that I was being abused. And let me tell you why. Because I didn't know that mental and emotional was abuse. I'm looking at it as a physical. If you put your hands on me, then you're abusing me. But I realized in my journey, when somebody said, you've been abused, right? And I was like, no, I'm not. And they're like, yeah, mental. And then I realized that, oh my gosh, she's right. Mental abuse and emotional abuse is 10 times worse than physical abuse, because physical abuse, you can actually, it'll go away. The scars will go away. They'll clear. You'll come back. But emotional and mental abuse will last a lifetime, because that's not something that you can just overcome, because that is playing on your emotions now. And suffering with that. And I didn't even know that. And when I got tired of his narcissistic ways and his abuse, because in narcissistic relationships, you're always to blame, no matter how much you try, no matter how good you do, no matter what you do, it will never, ever, never, ever, never, ever be enough. It'll never be enough. They always want more, 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 more. And it seems like I don't have more to give, but you still find yourself trying to give more, because if you don't, now they're making you feel bad, like you're nothing, like you don't belong, like you're just the scum of the earth. Like you're just, you're not even worthy of their time. And I just got tired. I just was like, you know what, Lord, please. And so I started asking God, I know that I messed up. This is my fault. I did this to myself. I had to take accountability, because I didn't have to marry him. But again, because of my bad choices, my bad decision, my lack of love, my lack of worthiness because I had already been told all my entire life that I wasn't worthy, that nobody would ever listen to my story, that I was never good enough. So when you hear that as a child and all your adult life, you start really believing that. Those come in with your limiting beliefs. And people don't realize that they go into your adulthood. You have these limiting beliefs. So now when you're trying to be great, when you're trying to find your purpose, when you're trying to do what God has called you to do, you can't. At least you can't at your full potential, because you'll try it, but you're going to get discouraged. You're going to start feeling like, and when things don't work right, you start feeling like, this ain't for me. I can't really do this. No, maybe I'm just a failure. You start putting these things that society had already put on you, you start bringing them back into your personal and your professional life. And so what I was doing. And so I had to realize that, you know what? I am worthy. I am great. I am more than enough. I am strong. Like, I had to start rebuilding who I was. But I could not do that until I started releasing all the things that had hurt me over the past years. So I had 20, 30 years of things that I had to release. And that's a lot of years to have to release some stuff. When you're 20 and you have to release some things, it ain't that much. But when you are 40 and above, and you got to release all this, that is a lot of things. And so it takes time. And we, as older individuals, we get upset because we feel like we ain't got a whole lot of time. We don't have time to be doing stuff. But what I realized in my own personal journey, and so I tell people, this is my motto, this is my part of my mission statement. If you don't break, you can't grow. If you don't break, you can't grow. We want to grow on top of this dead soil. And we wonder why our flowers aren't blooming like they should. We want to know why they're not as pretty as these flowers over here. Well, they're not going to be as pretty as these flowers over here, because you cannot plant new flowers on dead soil. So you have to remember that this is what we're going through. This is what we're doing. We are trying to plant our flowers on dead soil. Why? Because we don't want nobody to know that this is the underlying, this dead soil is dead.
I really like that. You cannot grow new flowers on new soil. And if you don't break, you can't grow. Wow. Those are powerful. I want to take you back to this story of the marriage that was abusive. And I want to ask you, was it an abusive marriage? Or is it that you had so much going on that because there is, this is how I look at this thing. Someone can abuse you, but they only have an expiry date if your stuff is resolved. Like, they have an expiry date and you just can't stay there. But now if you're being abused and you're staying, that is kind of pointing into the inside of how worthy do you feel? How, like, your own state inside really determines how long you're going to stay and be abused. And so I want to ask you a question here, which is, if we took Lady V now and dropped her in her past marriage, what would be different? Would it still be the same dynamics? Would the person stay pop? Would it be a 1 month marriage resolved? What would change if we were to take Lady V back in her abusive marriage as she is right now?
There wouldn't even be a marriage. there wouldn't even be a marriage. And let me tell you why.
Mm.
A lot of times we always see the red flags first. They always there. We will try to act like, oh, I can fix that. Oh, that's not that bad. I can handle that. Oh, I'm gonna deal with this person's flaws and I can handle that.
I'll
When
fix
we
them.
get there, yeah, I'll fix them. Let me tell you something. One thing that I've learned in this journey is we can't fix nobody but us. The only person that can fix anybody is God. He the only person that can fix you, me, whatever. Because if people ain't ready to be fixed, because a lot of people don't think they have a problem. So how can you fix something when people don't think they have a problem?
There is, I think, a pastor who used to say, some of you are in marriages that God has not put together, and you're trying to ask God to come and save the marriage, and it's not happening. And so I like what you're saying, that this marriage wouldn't happen in the first place because you knew you were marrying him for the wrong reason, and he was marrying you for the wrong reason. So if you were the Lady V today, this would never be a marriage in a million years. And so I like to really go here and say that we can talk about narcissists, and we can talk about abusers, and we can talk about people, but really, all of that doesn't get to happen if there's no baggage keeping you there. Exactly. Sometimes we marry the person who doesn't love us enough, and we know it. We marry the person who is going out with another girl, and we just want to be the woman in the house. We marry the person because we are pregnant. But then we expect them to want to make the marriage work. And for me, in as much as people get abused and blah, I do want to say that the amount of abuse you go through is directly proportional to the amount of healing you have on you. Because if you're a healed girl, it's not going to happen for long. And so I just wanted to say that, not out of insensitivity, but I do believe that people get through all this stuff, not necessarily even because the other person was bad, but because you're not enough to yourself. And if you're not enough to yourself, there's no way that you'll be enough to somebody else. And so in as much as the person thinks you're not enough or wants to help or whatever the thing they are doing that is making you not feel enough, most of the not enoughness is your own not enoughness. And so you already feel this, I am not enough, and anything someone adds on top, even if it's a drop, just goes like, whereas if you come and tell me I'm not enough, I'll be like, what? Like, think again, what do you want? Like, if you come and tell me that, the answer is like, oh, okay. So what is it that you want right now? Like, I have no problem any day, anytime having that conversation. If you're not happy, if you don't want to, like, I am not going to try and convince you that I'm enough, because I have that internal validation that I'm enough. So I think the problem is when internally you don't feel enough, it is very easy for another person to make you feel like no matter what you do, it's not enough. Not because the person is saying that, but sometimes because you internally feel that. Lady V, what's your truth around that? That's me mumbling based on people I've met, my friends, and all of that. What's your truth around that? You're the one who has been in the trenches. I haven't been in the trenches.
Hey, I definitely agree with what you said, and I want to add to that as well. I've learned in this journey, and you're going to hear me say that because I'm taking this journey. You know, I'm on the journey right now. I cannot, everything that I teach and give you the tools, the proper tools on, I'm going through. I've been through. I walked through. I did this. So I know how to overcome these obstacles. And so I have learned that in this journey, that first of all, if you don't ask God for his permission to marry, it'll never work out. It'll never work out, because if he don't give you your blessing, that ain't your person. And a lot of times we like to just do things and then we get mad when they don't work out. But we failed to realize that we didn't have permission to do that. because that was not in the plan for us. And we have to remember that, guys, in his basic instructions, I have a plan for you. My plan ain't your plan. My days ain't your days. They're not. And as people, we think we got it all together. We think we can do this and do that and everything gonna work out. But if we do not have permission, baby, if I don't ask God to walk across the street or leave my house, I don't. I don't. I have to ask for these permission because I don't know what's going on. And because I made so many bad choices in my life, trying to find my way, trying to understand this thing called life that never stops. I was just gone. And so now I'm like, okay, God, how do I need to do it? What is the path that you have for me? And I'm walking that path. I am walking and roaring in my greatness. I am doing now what I've been called to do, but not because I'm doing it. I just had to ask for permission. And some things I didn't even ask for. I was just guided in this way. You know what I'm saying? So I just follow because that's who I am. Lord, if you send me, I will go. And that's what I do. I just go. But we have to have permission when we are asking for our person. Because everybody ain't for you. It's just like when we were kids and your grandma used to tell you, everybody ain't your friend. Stop calling them your friends. Because that's my friend. Oh, that's my friend. Well, she my friend. And we had to learn that everybody wasn't your friend. And so now as we older, a lot of us can count on one hand how many real friends we really have. Where when we were younger, baby, we had to count on our fingers, our toes, and somebody else's fingers and toes. You know what I'm saying? Because we had all these friends and all these people that we thought was for us, but they wasn't. And so we have to learn that just because we love them don't mean that they love us. And we have to learn how to love ourselves enough because you're right. It comes from our past baggage where we've been told we're not enough. So now it's coming to our adulthood. And now we just pout. And what we do is, it's like being a bag lady. Erykah Badu said it best. Bag lady, that's who you are. You're just carrying around these bags from one place to the next place. Because you ain't dumped nan baggage home. You just jumped from this relationship and jumped in this relationship. So you brought that baggage from that relationship and brought it to this one. And this relationship, when you finish with this, you took this one and took it to the next one. And it's just a pile up. And then you wonder why you're so heavy. Because you're carrying all these bags around with you.
That's very good.
The only way that we can let go of these bags is to heal after each relationship. Even in my friendships, it don't matter. I have to heal after each one of them. I'm not going to jump into a new friendship until I heal from this one, till I understand what happened in this one, where, and I'm not looking at their faults. I'm not saying, oh, they did this and they did that and they did this and they did that. Baby, stop looking at their faults. You know what they did. The question is, what did you do?
What did you do?
What was your part in it? And what could you have done differently? I realized that a lot of times it wasn't just them. I had my part to play. I had my part to play. But then I also realized that I also made a choice to say, you know what, enough is enough for me. Because you have to know when your enough is enough. My grandmother used to, and y'all gonna hear me say this a lot, because my grandmother was my biggest inspiration. And so my grandmother used to tell me all the time, baby, you ain't tired yet. And I used to say, yes, I am. She said, no, you're not tired yet. Because if you was tired, and I mean real tired, you will do something about it. But until you just talking about it. And guess what? Nobody cares. and nobody wants to hear it.
Everyone has
And I was
their
like,
stuff. Like everyone has their problems, and so yeah.
Yeah, because you know what it is, but you're gonna keep being mad about it. And then you want to call your homegirl or your girlfriend or your homeboy up and you want to, oh, I want to, this, and this, and this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same problem. You're not complaining about something different. You're complaining about the same issue, the same problem. And if you were really that tired, what you complaining for? And so I had to realize that. And in my journey, I realized, especially as I get older, I've been realizing that, baby, if I got one complaint about you, you can best believe I'm out the door. We ain't even fit to play with it. I don't mind. I can accept your flaws. I can. But there's only certain things, and it's only going to be a certain amount of things that I will and will not accept. But that is when you start, once you release, you rebuild. And that's what I teach people how to release, rebuild, and rebrand. Awaken the rebel within. That's what I do. I awake the rebel within. But you have to learn how to release. Because you can't awake the rebel if you don't release. That is your first course, is to release. And a lot of times we want to miss that. A lot of times we want to shortcut a lot of things in life because we want to get to the end result quick. Right now, we need that end result right now because we're microwave people. But at the same time, if you don't follow the blueprint, if you don't follow the steps, you're going to miss something. And you're going to be back to the same place you were before at the beginning, still carrying this baggage that you don't want because you didn't learn how to release it. You didn't get the proper tools and steps to say, I'm tired. Not just I'm tired, but I'm really tired. And now I am going to do something about it. I am going to release it. And once I release it, then you got to replenish. You got to replenish yourself. You got to know, because once I released, I didn't know who the hell I was. I was lost. I had no idea who Lady V was. I had no idea. And then I started to learn what I like, what I don't, what I will accept, what I won't accept, what I like to eat, what I like to do, what I like to listen to. I didn't know these things because I was so trapped up in my past that I couldn't see my future. I couldn't see my present because I was stuck in my past. I was stuck in my trauma. And I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be loose. I wanted to be free, but I didn't know how to be free. So God said, I'll tell you what, let me show you how to be free. I'm going to drop you in the jungle. I'm going to drop you in the middle of the forest. And when you get tired, it's me and you. Who you going to listen to? And I was angry. Don't think I wasn't. I was angry. I cried. I screamed. I yelled. I did this and did that. Maybe none of that did me no good. None of it did me no good. I was just like, okay, well, I'll be waiting for you.
Let's take this to the process. You've touched on it, but I want you to go in the weeds and tell the listener how to move away from drowning in baggage to free with the most authentic expression that they can. You've talked about release, you've talked about rebuild, you talked about rebrand, but I want you to talk about the process so that we can get it. Like take us properly through the process of releasing, rebuilding, rebranding, and everything in between so that we can see how the system works. And then we'll drop into like the offers. Yeah.
So my thing is I teach people how to roar in their greatness, okay? And so let me walk you through it because I want everybody to really be in tune how this goes. So to roar in your greatness, and each letter stands for something, okay? So the word roar means to release. which means that you have to start releasing those old baggage. You got to release those old narratives that is holding you back. You got to identify what it is. If you don't identify what it is that's holding you back, you can never move on. You cannot grow until you break. Okay? You cannot grow until you break. How do you do that? Release. That means identify, write it down. Because what I've learned is the things that we have, if we don't write it down, we don't like to acknowledge it. We don't like to believe that it's really happening. But if you write things down in this visual, you can see it. Now you got to hold yourself accountable to these things. These are the things that's holding you back from your greatness. And so you got to release that. It is time to release. Once you release, then you can overcome, which means that now then you can overcome the obstacles that's standing in your way, which means that now it's time for you to start rebuilding who you are. It's time for you to take things by the horn and again, find out who you are. Make a list. You know, in my course, I'm all about homework. I'm all about making lists. I have lists everywhere around my house. I'm sorry I'm not in my house right now, or else I would show y'all. But because I'm out of state, I'm always traveling, doing what, delivering my message. And so I have lists. So overcome those obstacles, which means make a list, make a goal list, make a list of the things that you want and the things that you don't want. And look at that list every day. You got to keep saying it. It's repetition. And you might get tired of looking at it. You might get tired of saying it, but until it clicks, until you get it, until it is embedded in here and in here, you gotta just, you know what I'm saying? Keep on, keep on. You gotta keep saying it. So overcome your obstacles. That's the O. And once you overcome your obstacles, now you can awaken the rebel within. Understand when I say they're the rebel, that means that it's a little girl or a little boy sitting inside of you just waiting to explode in their greatness. They're waiting for you to just tap in and wake it up because they want to be great. They want to be this person that you want to be. They want to be free. They want to be in peace. They want to be less toxic. They want to be these things. So now it's time for you to awaken the rebel, because if you don't awaken it, who's going to awaken it? Who's going to do it? I can't awaken your rebel. That's your rebel. Just like you can't awaken my rebel. I had to put in the work. I had to do that. That's the reason why I'm here right now. Because I took that little girl that was afraid. Because I don't want y'all to think that just because I'm here and I'm doing it and I'm speaking boldly, that I wasn't afraid. Because I was. Because my silence had been closed in. I had to be like this. I had to be shut up. So I was silenced. I couldn't speak. We, again, come from an era that what happens in this house stays in this house. Again, we come from an era where, hey, you are to be seen, not heard. And some of them didn't want to see us or hear us. So that's the era I come from. So there was a little girl inside of me that was just ready to explode and bust out. She was ready to bust it loose. And so that's what I did. I awakened the rebel. And once I did that, I started to rise. I started to rise to the occasion. That means that I started to be my authentic self, and I don't care who likes it, who loves it, who don't, who do. It don't even matter, baby, because I already know you either like me or you hate me. You either love me or you don't. And I'm all right with it. Why? Because now I love me. Now I know my worth. And I don't allow society not my parents, not society, not my friends. I don't allow anybody to tell me that Lady V is worthy. It's just like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali said he's the greatest. Do you think he could be great if he didn't think he was great? Because
No.
I believe that Mike Tyson thought he was great too.
Mm.
Sugar Ray Leonard thought he was great too. George Foreman, he thought he was great too. See, all these people thought he was great, but Muhammad Ali said, I am the greatest.
Mm. So let's see if I understand what you're saying. I'm in the trenches, I'm drowning with baggage, had 10 marriages, and I'm blaming all these men and calling them narcissists, abusers, betrayers. And this time I'm like, okay, in the mirror is a woman that has been through 10 marriages, and she's finally realized she's the common multiple denominator. And so the point number one is to release and heal, overcome yourself, I think. Like, release the bugs. That's the first. Let's get in the trenches and release all these things you're carrying from 100 spirits and everything in between. So the first thing is to release those bugs, release those labels, release those unworthiness, release those, and whatever the thing is, release it. Number two, now that you've released, start rebuilding, because you don't even know who you are. It's mask after mask after mask. Now the masks have gone. Let's get Lady V back. Who is she? What does she want to do in this world? What does she like? What doesn't she like? What food is she gonna eat? What music is she like? What's her world? So now we are rebuilding your thing, whether people like it or not, they can deal with that. And then 3 is awaken the rebel and rise to the occasion. What have I left? Because I which one is rebranding? Awakening the rebel or rise to the occasion? Which one is rebrand?
So awakening the rebel and rising to the occasion is both in your rebranding stage.
So we have release, rebuild, rebrand, and then?
So it's release, rebuild, and rebrand. But roar means that you're going through these stages in your greatness. So yes, so releasing is in your releasing stage. Overcoming is also in your releasing stage, but it's transferring into your rebuilding stage. Awakening the rebel is coming from your rebuilding stage and transferring into your rebranding stage. And rising is sitting in your rebranding stage of your life, because now you are rising to the occasion. You are building the future that you want. You are now free, because now you've been through these stages. You see, you let that go, and I had to let these go. And let me tell you something, the hardest thing for me to do was to face my molester. But it was something that I had to do, because I couldn't elevate to the next level that I was trying to go in until I did. I had to forgive. And that was hard for me. Let me tell you, forgiveness is the hardest thing for us to do. And somebody said, how the hell did you do it? How did you do that right there? Because I couldn't. And I told them, I said, you know what? It was really because of God. I have these come to Jesus moments, I like to call them. And God just asked me, first of all, he tells us in our basic instructions, forgive those who trespass against us. And he took me there. And I had to read that 100,000 times. Believe it. I read it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I got mad. I got upset. I got cried. I did all these things because I was emotionally like, I don't want to do this. Like, why should I have to forgive him? And then he asked me, why should I have to forgive you? Powerful. It makes you really look at some things. It makes me evaluate, and I'm like, wow, okay. because he said we all his children, every last one of us. And a sin is a sin. So what makes my sin less than his sin? Nothing. Because God see it as a sin.
The
He
saying
don't,
I like to drop
yeah.
in Lady V, which is not forgiving or unforgiveness is like taking poison, hoping your neighbor dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I learned this. In forgiveness, it ain't really you forgiving them. It's really you forgiving you for holding on for so long. It's really you forgiving you for allowing these things to continue to happen in your life. Because I realize that people can only do what you allow them to do to you. And I
What
had
is,
to understand that. And that was
yeah,
hard for me.
I want you to go back and ask yourself, like, what would you change? What would Lady V today tell Lady V 20 years ago?
That you are worthy and you are more than enough.
Hmm. What if she didn't believe it?
Because too many people had already told me in my life as a kid that I wasn't nothing. I would never amount to anything. I would have a bunch of babies by the time I was 17. You know, they had already wrote me off. And when you hear that as a kid, it's like this. At 7, 8 years old, you're being told that you ain't nothing. You ain't gonna amount to nothing. You ain't gonna be nothing. And you hear that all your life. What else do you think? What else? If people view you like that at the age of 7 and 8, and then your whole entire life, how do you not think those things? How do you not feel like you're worthy? Because everybody has showed you that you're not worthy because of the things that you're going through. You've already seen that. And so I had to understand that, guess what? I'm more than enough and I am worthy. I had to tell myself that. And let me tell you something. I took myself on, and right now I'm running a 60-day challenge as well, where I want people, it's a 60-day affirmation challenge. Simple. All you have to do every day is things that you told yourself that you couldn't, to tell yourself that you can. So when on this challenge myself, that's why I'm taking people on it now, is to tell yourself every day, every single day. I had to tell myself that I'm worthy. I had to tell myself, I love you. I love you. I love you. Because I realized that if I had loved me the way I thought I loved me back then, ain't no way in the world I would have went through all the stuff I went through. I just wouldn't. Because when you love yourself, you don't go through hurt. You don't go through trauma because you don't allow people to put that on you. You don't allow people to take you through that. It don't matter how much love they give, baby. I'm not going through it. Hunties, I'm over it and done with it. That's how I am now. Like, baby, if I see it coming, I thank you. I'm out the door. Why? Because I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to put up with that. I don't have to listen to that. You're not going to put that on me. You're not going to take me out of my character. You're not going to make me feel a certain type of way that I don't want to feel. Like, now I honestly love me. I love the woman that I am. I love my skin. I love my blackness. I love the marks on my face. Like, everything about me. Like, because I have lupus, that was another thing. I went through this lupus thing where, and that was another part of my thing. I didn't feel like nobody would ever love me or want to be with me because I have lupus. And so a lot of us are sickly and we think we don't deserve love because nobody's going to love you because you have lupus. Nobody's going to love you because you have cancer. Nobody's going to love you because you have this autoimmune disease or you have diabetes or whatever it is that you may have. You feel like that sometimes. And so we shut ourselves off from love, thinking that nobody will ever love us because of these things. And I went through that too. And I went through, because one morning, baby, let me tell you something. I have flawless skin. I woke up one morning and my skin wasn't as flawless no more. And I was like, I freaked out. I panicked. I freaked out. I cried. I acted crazy, just everything. I went through that. But guess what? Comfortable in my black skin. I am comfortable with my beauty marks. I am comfortable with who I am, and I don't care who knows it. I don't care who sees it. I don't care, baby. Hey, honey, I love me some me. Oh, I love me some me. And I'm okay with sharing it and showing it. Like, I love me some me. Or I said that too. But baby, the thing about taking myself, ain't no way in the world I could have loved me going just in the streets wilding out, feeling like I'm just doing it and not doing nothing. Baby, no. And now I love me. And I want you to love you too. Genuinely. Not just saying the words. Because sometimes we just say, I love you. I love you. And we don't even know what love is because we have not learned how to love us yet.
So Lady, I have one question for you. You're very entertaining and I like it because life can be so hard that we end up miserable. So I like cracking up. I have one question for you. As I was going through the process, I love the process. I am trying to understand more about the release stage. Do you have a specific methodology for helping women release trauma, release baggage, overcome baggage? Is there a specific methodology that you use for that? Or give me a little bit of that.
So everyone is different and everyone's stages is different. And so I actually go through, what I like to do is I actually listen first. And I have to take what this person is and and then I try to go into that I dig deep because a lot of times as people, we just like to say, yeah, this is bothering me. And yeah, that's this. And yeah, I need to release this. But I like to go deep up in you and then pull it on up out of you. That's what I like to do. And the reason why I'm a spiritual release coach is because God gives me discernment. And in my discernment, I can feel your spirit. So I can feel when you're not telling everything. And so then I got to start digging and digging and digging and digging until we hit the surface. And we will hit the surface, baby, because I have learned it's about asking the right questions.
So someone will come and give you like a problem, but really the problem is deep down that they're not telling you. So someone is coming and they're saying, marriage, or whatever. But then you find that, boom, they had an abortion, which caused everything. And now you have to dig to find the abortion. Wow. Yeah. That's really cool. Because people don't always know what the problem is. They don't always know how far to look. They don't always know what broke them. So I like that you help people dig deep because we never know like the dunk. Like we always want to feel like, oh, maybe it was that thing. But maybe sometimes it's not. Sometimes we have to tell you right back. So, I like that.
Yes, like people sometimes. So let me just tell y'all this one story. So I had a lady come to me and she was going through some trauma things with a death of a child and some marriage stuff, right? Well, it was some more underlined issues that she was dealing with. But when she came to me all like they do with their counselors. Well, I tell people that I'm a spiritual coach. I ain't a counselor. The counselors allow you to hum them. And then they just, they give you that book text and what they learned and this and that and this and that and this and that. Well, I don't allow you to hum me. And so I dug deep up in her. And I told her, I said, baby, I'm supposed to go up in you. And the look on her face was like, what? And so I started asking these questions. And I could see on her face how these questions was affecting her. And then I just sit and wait. I wait on my answer because I'm like, I'm not going to allow you, because if I allow you to pacify it, then how am I really helping you? And how are you really helping you? And so I'm patient. I'm patient. We'll wait, baby. And if we got to go to our next section and do it all over again, we will. But you're going to get to the point. You're going to get to the point. You're going to dig deep, because I'm not going to allow you to just say, oh, you know, it was just the death of my child and I'm just so hurt and I'm just so. No, it's more than that. Tell me how you really feel. Give it to me how you really feel. Put it on me like you really feel. Dig deep up in it, because I don't need you to pacify me, because it ain't my story. See, I didn't want to touch my story either. I didn't want to dig deep. I didn't want to go to the bottom of the barrel and pull up that sticky stuff that we don't like to admit that's down there because it's nasty. But guess what? In order for me to heal, I had to break. In order for me to grow, I had to break, which means that I had to go down there. And so I made her go down there too. But once I made her go down there and tap into that, and it took 3 sessions, please let me tell you that. It did take 3 sessions. However, once she did, she was like, Lady, I probably should have did this the first session, hon. I said, yeah, but it's a choice. See, we all have choices in this life. And I can't make you do nothing that you don't want to do, nothing that you're not ready for. But if you come into me, you're going to break, because you can't heal until you break. And I'm patient enough to help you go through this. So I'm not going to rush you, because I might break faster than you, Prima. You might break faster than me. I cannot, you know what I'm saying? So everyone is different. And so I go according to who you are and what your method is. And so, but I'm going to tap into you, baby. You better know you're going to get broke when you come to me. If it takes a week, then it just took a week. You're going to get broke. Like, you're going to, if it takes so many sessions, that's what we're going to go through. Because you have to put in the work, and I won't even let you go to your rebuilding stage until you have broken and released.
I like that. If you know it's time to go in the break.
Yeah, I give you the tools to be able to do these things. You know what I'm saying? So I give you, okay, let's write this down. Because like I said before, writing things down makes us hold ourselves accountable for the things that we're doing. And they might change. I won't tell you that they won't change, because maybe right now you just want to release this. And this is all you can handle right now. But later on, here comes this thing and you want to release this too. And that's okay. I don't want you to feel like you got to release everything at one time. Some people can, and some people can't, because it's too much. I happen to be one of those people that I wanted it all to go. I didn't want to hold nothing. But it took me years to be able to do that. And I'm not going to lie about it. It took me some years to be able to release every single thing that happened in my life. Because the last thing was releasing the molestation, which was the ultimate thing that happened in my life. I didn't want to release that. I wanted to, but I didn't want to have to forgive him to do it. And the only way that I was able to was to forgive him. The day, let me tell y'all something. The day I forgave him, I went home and I cried. And I called myself going to tell my mom. And as soon as I told my mom, me and my mom had a big blow up. And we ain't talked since that day. She just was like, I'm over you. We're done. Bye. See, I could have been like, why? You again, more toxic and more trauma that could have traumatized me. But I am in a place in my life where I'm like, girl, bye. So now I tell people now, baby, if I can cut my mama off, who are you? What do you really have? Nothing, baby. This shows you my strength. Because now I overcome the things that hurt me or the things that try to hurt me. I can release it and let it go and be okay with it. And guess what? Does it mean that I love her any less? No, I love my mama. I love her to death. but I don't love her foolishness and her toxic ways. And if I got to deal with that and that, baby, I'm cool with it. Thank you. Because I woke up one morning after I released all of that. I woke up one morning and I just felt free. I felt a freedom I had never felt in my whole entire life. It felt different. I woke up and I just was like, what? And so the photo shoot, one of the pictures that you may have as my headshot, went and took that photo shoot. That's how free I felt. And it came out beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, you can see the freedom. You can see that I now feel me. Because I know that I'm worth it. I know that I'm beautiful. I know that I'm enough. And I want to show people that, guess what? No matter how much it hurts, no matter how hard it hurts, no matter what you go through, that it'll be okay if you learn how to release it. If you are ready to release it. Guess what? You find your freedom and your peace that you so deserve. And I want you to have that, because there's nothing, it is nothing like it. And man, that's the reason why I do this. I do what I love to do, because the freedom that I have now, priceless.
There you have it. There you have Lady V, ready to go in the trenches and clean up. As always, the way this works is really, there's a simple triangle going on. This is Lady V over here with her Trench Academy, and we need to release stuff. This is me over here saying, let's translate this so you get it, because it's really time to leave the past where it belongs and be free, because you deserve it and it's never too late. And you know who is holding the triangle down? It is you who is the vessel of this message. And I want you to think today, who is the woman in your life that needs to release baggage? Who is the woman in your life that has been through this marriage and this marriage and this marriage, and you're like, it's time to release the baggage? Who do you love so much that you want them to be free today? That's the one person that you just need to go in their inbox and go, hey, I listened to this podcast and you came to mind, or I thought about you. Just drop it in their private space. And that is how Lady V will stop being a best kept secret. She is a spiritual release coach. The work she does is help you become the woman that God created you to be. The work she does is help you release the baggage that you have on your shoulders so you can be free to rebuild and shine in your most authentic expression. And so please pause and honor the moment and bless somebody with this episode. Lady V, we're coming to an end. What's your dose for us as we sign off?
So my ending for you is, I want you to roar in your greatness, because you are great. But the only way you can roar in your greatness is, remember, you got to release the baggage and the old narratives. You got to overcome the obstacles that is standing in your way. You got to awaken the rebel within that's waiting to just bust it loose. And when you do, I want you to rise, baby. I want you to rise to the occasion, and I want you to glow and shine in your presence. I want you to shine in your greatness. I want you to roar, roar, roar in your greatness, because you deserve it. You are more than enough, and you are worthy. That's what I want to leave with you today. Roar in your greatness.
Thank you much, Lady V, for being such a gift. We appreciate you. We appreciate the trenches. We appreciate everything that's made you who you are. We are the best kept secret. Love to celebrate heroes. And we see you and we honor you for being you and rising help everybody else. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me today and allowing me to share my story. I pray that this bless and help and inspire and empower somebody today to roar in your greatness. That's what I want you to do, roar in your greatness. So thank you again, Queen.
My last story will be this. I remember I was listening to this lady, I think Sarah Robert Jacks, and she said the one thing that held her stuck for a very long time is every time she was trying to grow, she wanted to leave her past behind. She was a teenage mom. She was TD Jack's daughter. She was divorced at 25. She had done some stuff in the strip club. I don't know what she did there. She felt so dirty and unworthy. And she tried to get so qualified, like get degrees and all of that to forget that. And she tried to get this job and tried to get this thing. And she felt like the more things she got, the more hollow she felt. Like she felt so hollow. And one day she decided that every piece of her was going to be used. And so what she did is she said, what if I didn't have to forget who I was to become the person that I want to be? What if I could bring the teenage mom and bring the divorced woman and bring the strip dancer and bring them all with me? And so what she decided to do is she decided to come up with a principle or something where everything was an ingredient. So the teenage mom was an ingredient in a tin, and then the divorced mom was also an ingredient in the tin. And then all these things she had going on in her past, she was like, all of you are ingredients. And she reached a point and said, when I could use each and every one of my ingredients, I could make a 5-star course meal. And so the thing I want to end with is, what if you could use all of the parts of you as ingredients to create the new person or the new identity or the thing you're rebuilding? What if every one of those things you hate so much for doing was supposed to be an ingredient to help you create that concoction, that cocktail, whatever the thing is? You see, Lady V, she's like a concoction of the street girl and this and the godly woman, and she brings it all. And that is why she's like, I love me and I don't care if nobody doesn't, because she's bringing all of her parts and she's saying, this is Lady V, it's the cocktail. Do you want the cocktail or not? And so I wanted to share that story because I feel like we can get caught up in our identities and how bad we have been and blah, blah, blah. And you can bring the molester and decide she can't be successful. But really, maybe the molester now has so much empathy for someone else who was raped. And maybe the divorced mom is the only person who can understand a divorced mom's problems. And maybe whatever the thing disqualifies you, the 10 marriages, is why you're qualified to help people with their marriages. And so whatever the thing is behind, I would personally like for you to carry it and see it as an ingredient, just as Sarah Robert just said, and say, how can I use this to make my best food? That is what I'll end with. I hope that it helps out. As always, grab your app. If this is helping you, rate, review, subscribe, follow, do all of the amazing things, because there's one way you can tell me that this show is helping you. One simple way. The Lady V is getting people knocking at her door and saying, oh my God, I can't believe from that podcast I'm getting people. And two, that every day when I wake up, someone subscribed and someone subscribed. And that's all you have to do. And Prima will be here at 80 years with gray hair doing this podcast because somebody is saying, yes, Prima, I want you to keep doing this. I am subscribing. That's literally how you get me to be on this podcast for the next 70 years. Is just subscribe, rate, review, and share this message. And I just need to know that Lady V is stopping to be a best kept secret because she's serving more women, because she's untying more women, and the world is becoming freer and freer and freer. And I guarantee you, unless I die, I will be on this microphone pushing for that freedom. And so, again, that's what you can do to help me. Share the message and contribute to the channel by way of subscribing and reviewing and doing all those things. I appreciate you. You're amazing as always. I will see you again in another episode. And thank you for today. I really can't take your time for granted. So thank you. Thank you for joining this conversation on the world's best kept secret podcast today. If you feel ready to stop keeping your work a secret, head over to primajope.com and request a free conversation. Until next time,